Welcome back to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest running sales training podcast history. I'm Bill Caskey.
I'm Bryan Neal.
We are so glad you're here. If you have not checked out the advancedsellingpodcast.com or actually advancedsellingpodcast.com, if you're a new listener, we've got some of our top episodes there. You can go back and take a listen unless you want to start from day one, which is 1,200 episodes ago or 1,600, whatever the number is. And you can do that, but that's going to take you a while.
Had somebody that didn't believe me when I told them we've been podcasting for nearly 18 years. And not in a, just like, they were like trying to like, was podcasting, is it that old? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, really? So like podcast? I'm like, yeah, you can Google it. I promise.
And, you know, when you look at our episode count on iTunes, it shows 900, but we changed servers, 10, 12 years ago. And so there's another 600 that are somewhere in the Hall of Fame archives.
I can't wait. We need to start that hall. If there's not one, we'll make one. I'll Google it here in a second.
So if we start it, do we get in it? Like an automatic entry?
I'll vote for you if you vote for me. We'll be the first entrance. And then see now, Mike.
Did you happen to see Tom Brady's speech in front of the New England Patriot Hall of Fame?
Start to finish. I've seen snippets. It looked pretty strong.
It was good. I tell you, I don't know if he had a what do you call it? Teleprompter. Or whether that was off the cuff, but it was. I mean, he was really good. And I know some people hate Brady. I don't. I've always liked him, but he's really worked on his game, his personal brand, his speaking game. And he was talking about work ethic and consistency, and how I was going to practice at 6 a.m. when my friends were sleeping in and eating pancakes for breakfast, and I never got that. And we need to get back to work ethic and consistency, which people don't want to hear, but I love it when he talks like that because it's pretty magical.
Lots of respect. So if you didn't listen to our episode last time, go listen to that. You also heard Bill talk a little bit about a personal experience he had. So you said you had a little shout out to someone that took care of you, Bill, after you.
Yeah, the people at Riverview Hospital, they were being funny, and I was kind of being funny. And I said, look, I'm going to talk about this on the podcast. So I'm not going to tell the stories because it would be a little incriminating, but I do want to shout out to the really good people at Riverview. Had great care, and they were all the nurses, assistants. They were just all fun. They were funny people. I think Riverview teaches sense of humor there. It was, and I enjoyed it. It was a great experience considering the situation. But anyway, I had a heart incident, and everything is fine. I mentioned if you want to hear more, which I don't know why you would, but you can go back to last episode. But we talked about, are there any lessons there in what we do here as sales coaches? And we talked last week about, are we as sales professionals looking at ourselves, or business owners, anybody, are we looking at ourselves and our own habits and our own activities? This week, we're going to talk about how do you create change within a prospect?
Yeah.
And because it still gets down to what's going to cause a prospect to change from their current reality to engaging, you or whomever. So I think that's a really good way to segue to get some mileage out of this thing.
We're gonna keep pumping
all the way through the year.
Out of Bills. Now, do you call it? Do you name it? Is it the episode? My episode? My what do you call your?
I like incident.
Incident. I had my heart incident that I had.
Well, when you say I had a heart incident, you get, oh, really? Tell me about it. When you say you have had a heart attack, you're like, what? Are you kidding?
What are you saying? Are you alive? Are you still? It's like
you look fine though. Well, that was 2 weeks ago.
And I hate how I don't want to go off the rant here, but I hate how we keep renaming things that you can or can't say. That drives me crazy. It's like, okay, and so that's one of them though. Heart attack is one of them. And
there's actually the medical profession calls it an MAC, a myocarditis activity. I don't know what it is, but they don't even they just use it an acronym. So So let's talk about change when it comes to prospects. And since that's really the essence, we as business leaders, salespeople, are all agents of change. Our goal is to go and improve the lives of our prospects by selling them solutions that actually have an impact on them. So I think this discussion of how do we create environments for change is really, really critical. So what say you, Mr. Neal?
My first thought here, and we like to talk about the thinking behind the action and the words first a lot on the Advanced Selling Podcast, as you know. So I want to start there. And I want to combine a couple things that we teach in our guiding principles. The first one, and Bill and I have talked about this for years and years and years, it starts with intention. And if you're listening to this podcast, my guess is you're on board with that. If you're a new listener, that's something you really need to take in, because most, I don't want to say all, but I still haven't found one where, a sales coaching program, a methodology, the intention isn't to get deals.
Yeah.
And then people are like, well, of course it is. And they do all that stuff. I'm like, it's not, it isn't. And so my intention at my core is to be helpful. If I am a doctor, someone gave me the little thing yesterday at a client, long-term client of mine. He said, we need to be doctors, not waiters or waitresses or servers. We're not taking, what do you need? What do you want? It's like, here's a recommendation. Here's what you should do. So I couple intention with assertiveness in this case. And this is where I think a lot of salespeople miss in their energy, is they're still in this mode of, what do you think, Bill? Any feedback? How does that hit you? At some point, there's a place to go where we say as salespeople, here's the data, here's everything you're telling me. Based on what you're telling me, you need to do this.
Yeah.
Even if it's not with us, you need to do something. It can be anything you want, but we've got to have a bold, determining, if you continue down this path, I'll play your doctor for a second. If you continue down this path, your risk of having a heart incident will continue to increase year after year, and it will sneak up on you. I would suggest making these changes now, and that's it. The doctor's not going to go order food for you at the restaurant. They're not going to slap the French fries out of your hand. But I think salespeople need to really develop this skill. And I think generationally, there's a thing here. I think Gen Xers and baby boomers are a little more bold this way. I think the Gen Zs and millennials are a little bit softer. They like to kind of dance around. They want to let the sale happen, Well, if I just keep talking, eventually they'll come to their own conclusion, and they don't.
I think that's really true. I think if we have ever said to ourselves or thought to ourselves, oh, you know what, I don't want to be that guy, I don't want to be that salesperson, then you probably have a misperception about what a professional is. What you just described, Bryan, was the amateur. The amateur is, well, I just let it happen. And, if they want to buy, they want to buy. That's disengagement. I don't want to be that. The pro is not trying to sell somebody something, but the pro is so good at understanding the problem that is on the table, and also good at explaining, if they decide to go with me or you, what does it look like to work with you? I think pros are just better explaining, and they don't just let things happen, but that you can still be a force in the sales process and still be detached from the outcome. They're not mutually exclusive, I don't think.
I'm glad you said that, because that's where I think people get very confused by that. They think if I go, and give you some direct recommendation, and I say, Bill, based on what you're telling me, you're a perfect candidate for the insider, I would say something like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be in this program. And if my intention's clean and everything, I can carry complete detachment from that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to live or die or whatever, or fall asleep or not be able to, if you don't join the program. I'm just going to go talk to the next person and say what the truth is. Have you seen another thing I think sales pros are really good at, the highest performing people you and I work with, while they're really good at diagnosing and then recommending, they're also good at diagnosing and leaving. And have you seen there's a show called My 600-Pound Life, which is this weight loss doctor from Iran. People that watch this know he has a real funny kind of how he talks, not like a bad accent, like he just has a speech pattern that's interesting. But he basically tells you, okay, you need to lose 75 pounds the next time I see you, or we'll not do the surgery. Okay. And he sends these people away, and it documents them, and they come back. And if they're supposed to lose 75 and they gain 5, he basically says, okay, so I'm not going to do the surgery, and you'll have to go out on your own, and you come back when you lose 75 pounds. They leave. That's it. He just sends them away. And these are people that are in, dire. I mean, they are gonna die. Yeah. But it's so interesting to me to watch him. He's very clear. He gives all data based, and he tells them exactly what to do and how to do it. And then it's up to them. And if they don't do it, they're out. And I don't think salespeople are that strong.
No, I don't either
at all.
Here's something you said. You said the lab work. I think that's you glossed over that, but I want to come back to that. We are always looking for what's the reason a person is going to change, and we've called it needs, we've called it pain, we've called they're all different titles for it. But the pain, you just use this pain for now. The compelling reason to change is always in the lab work. It's always in our ability to say, look, I'm not trying to, I don't want to get into a sales process here until I understand the full nature of the problem. And do you have a problem? Do you know you have a problem? What does it look like? How much does it cost? I don't think salespeople in general, you talked about boomers and Gen X. I don't think generally any of us are very good at doing the deep lab work.
Yeah.
To be able to say to them, I've done this work, and let me share with you what I've discovered here. And you know what? You've got a blockage here in left auricle, front auricle. But until the lab work is done, it's all just conjecture. It's all just opinion. Well, no, I feel pretty good, doc. Okay, well, if you feel good, we'll see you later. No, the doc said, no, we're not going to go by how you feel. We're going to go by the data, by the lab. And so if you're in sales and you don't do the proper lab work, the diagnostics, then you're not going to find them admitting that, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. Yes, we've got to get this fixed. How quickly can we do this? You're going to find a lot of people say, well, you know what? Everything's kind of fine right now. And what's your budget? What's this cost? 20,000. Oh my gosh, I can't afford that. So you're always going to be operating without the complete puzzle.
That's great. There's I've started to do this in the past year, and I'm starting to amp it up a bit in my own sales calls, especially if I'm with in a C levels, with a CEO, CFO, or a private equity firm, or a CRO, those people. In the sales call, I ask them to pull up their Salesforce or their HubSpot dashboard. And I'm like, well, let's just look at your forecast. Let's pop it up. Let's deal with it. Let's diagnose. And I'll go, okay, and then I'll just start to talk them through it. I'm like, okay, so take open opportunities, sort by close date. They'll sort them by close date. And what'll happen is they'll have 20, 30, 50% of their anticipated close dates in the past. And I'm like, you see the problem here? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, I can fix that. I can make that go away in 2 months through our tools. And they're like, oh. And occasionally, not often, we pull it up and like, this is crystal clean. You guys are poster children for this. Then I'm starting to think they may not need my help. These people could teach class on this. But I love that because that just tells me the real story.
Yeah.
And it lets them see it. It's just like you looking at your heart scan with your doctor and he goes, you see this right there? No blood can get through that little gap right there. Like,
That's
holy
right.
Nikes, right?
So the lesson here for listeners is that if maybe you need to up your diagnostic game a bit in order to create the sense of urgency that you say you want. We say we want, then we say, well, what about the price goes up on Friday? What about if we shoot a video where I talk about all the problems? Yeah, but it's the lab work. It's the diagnostic. That's the thing that, as long as they agree that beforehand to help you do it, because sometimes you need your prospect to be a part of the questioning and survey and audit. But once they do, you will find all sorts of problems.
Guaranteed.
And it's not to shove it in their face. It's just to understand, what are we working with here? What are we working with?
And it cannot be loaded. This is people hear this advice sometimes and they're like, let's do these things because everybody's, all that jazz. It can't be loaded. You've got to be able to look at someone and go, dang guys, this is awesome. Because we do go to the doctor sometimes. We do the heart scan and the guy's like, yeah, you basically have 0.5% blockage. That puts you in the 3% risk for heart attack for a person your age. Yeah. You're good. That's it. No statin, no drug, no diet change. So
I went to chat to Claude.ai. It's an AI service we use, and asked it for the what Winston Churchill said about identifying the real problem, or what Richard Feynman, or what who was the other one? Buckminster Fuller. Anyway, here's what Winston Churchill said. I must confess, in the realm of high culture, our difficulties stem not from a dearth of intellect and ambition, No, the true culprit is our failure to comprehend the crux of the matter at hand. We must pierce the veil of obfuscation and confront the genuine issue. I thought, wow, that's Churchill himself saying we got to deal with the real problem. And if you're in sales, you're not dealing with the real problem, and your closing percentage is 15%. That's the reason.
Yeah. Did he go to DePaul? I mean, that was just a big ass words.
He went to, I don't know where he went. Cambridge? I don't know. Oxford, probably.
That's fantastic. I work with a group of software engineers. I worked with them for a really long time, and they're so smart, like beyond smart. The way they think about everything in their life, it is so smart. And they conclude when we work through this issue processing deal we do with them, they said the hardest part of this is identifying the problem. It's the hardest part. And they do that through diagnosis, but boy, they spend a lot of time on it. And I watch them work, and they're software engineers, so they're not salespeople. And I'm like, man, if the sales teams I work with could watch these people work through an issue, it would be lights out.
Yeah.
Salespeople just flying through it, right? Let's go to the demo. Let me show you this, Bill. So here's what we do. We do that. We do the installation. We do then you guys do the, and you're like, whoa, slow down.
We get a lot of satisfaction out of the demos and out of the person saying, yes, let's do it.
Right. Yeah.
And but that's the output. That's the byproduct of either really good diagnostics or really lousy diagnostics. And if you just up your diagnostic game, and this was not where I was intending to, where I thought we were going to take this, but really, if you're looking for change, you got to understand what's the current reality.
Yes. And if the current reality is good, leave.
Yeah.
Let the person go. Doctors don't prescribe drugs to people who are healthy. That's probably loaded, but
Yeah, they do.
Exactly. That's loaded. My bad.
Yeah.
So
they prescribe.
they want to go on the awards trip with their drug rep. No, they don't do that anymore, do they? But
I don't know, but
who took you to a room? Well, my Lilly rep, and that doesn't happen anymore. Sorry, Lilly.
Yeah, and what? Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole.
That's an whole other game.
All right. That's a lesson today. If you want more change, if you want quicker change, you want a sense of urgency on the part of the prospect. The sense of urgency doesn't come through the price goes up on Monday close. It comes from really doing the lab work, the diagnostic, and helping them see that they have a problem that they may not even know that they have.
That's it.
So that's maybe the lesson today.
Diagnose. Bravo.
If you have not checked out the Advanced Selling Podcast Insider Program, we meet every first Friday of the month. I think our next one is the week after 4th of July. But I'm doing something special in that program. I'm offering coaching sessions for the month of July for anybody in the program. The program is $47 a month or $49, something like that. It includes 1 hour and a half of training a month. And we've got a great group of people, and I'm offering just for the month of July. So if you're not in by June 30th, you can't get the 15 minutes, whether that matters to you or not. But I record those and then send them back to the person. And there's a lot of good stuff that happens in that time. So
anyway, I'll take advantage of that. So, and by the way, I forgot to say Happy Flag Day, Bill. Recording the fun.
Recording?
It is, yeah. Happy Flag Day. Let me go wave the old glory.
Yeah. All right.
We'll stop talking about the heart incident.
Yeah, this is it. No more.
Clarion. All right. Cheers, guys.
See you. Bye.